and welcome to the session on breaking barriers, achieving gender equality through women's representation in senior management, where we'll talk about how women are really shining in senior management positions across different industries and sectors. We have a great panel of speakers. During the Q&A session, you can use the buttons that you see on your table to ask questions. To start the session, let me just quickly introduce our speaker from Bangladesh, Ms. Shahamin Zaman, the Executive Director of Global Compact Network Bangladesh, to deliver the welcome remarks and also introduce our great panel. Thank you so much.
Okay, I can stand here. I think that's better. Good afternoon. I think the challenging part is after lunch, right? Because we're all, we ate a lot, which the minister said, the state minister this morning said that a lot of good food in Malaysia. So we really enjoyed the hospitality of the Malaysian network. And I think we come to a session where somehow it's linked. Because why is it linked? Can anybody tell me why it's linked? Food and gender. You have a mindset of thinking women are the ones who take care of the food. That's the traditional mindset. When we talk about gender, we talk about, a lot of the men in my country, I come from Bangladesh, and a lot of men would say, gender is not my thing. That's women's stuff. So that is where we need to interact. That is where we start talking about the gender dimensions, the balance between men and women. And today we're here for a very interesting reason. The journey of sustainability includes, we heard about the Sustainable Development Goals this morning, SDG 5, gender equality. And we also heard when the minister was speaking in his remarks that we are far away from gender equality. Maybe another 100 years, it seems. So when we think about that, we think that we have to shelf it because it's not possible in our lifetime to create gender equality. But really, we can. We can make a difference because here in this 2 days conference, we are actually talking about forward and faster. So we heard from our panelists in the morning session how they are engaging in women's empowerment, how they are engaging in gender empowerment. So I think, like when we talk about breaking barriers, we already heard this morning how some of the companies are interacting and how they are implementing. But we want to deep dive into how we can create change. And through this today's session, Breaking Barriers, Achieving Gender Equality through Women's Representation in Senior Management. The title is very huge, but the work we will do for this is much huger and more challenging. If you look at the world today, even in the northern context, we don't see many women at top management levels. In fact, 15 to 17% of women all over the globe are in the senior positions in management. But why is that? Because education has increased amongst women. Men, we are at equal par with men. When we think about the workload, maybe we take more workload because we are balancing our home front and our professional front. So we are taking more load, but yet we are not at equal terms. And you've heard also in the last few years about the disparity between wages, female and male wages. So I think what's important from our speakers we will hear today, the objective is to learn from them that what are the ways that companies and organizations can really deep dive into creating not only policies, but also building awareness among staff, among employees, that gender equality is a must to change the world. We have to see that policies have a gender perspective. A lot of the countries and a lot of organizations have gender policies, but it's shelved, it's not implemented. So how can we implement those things? And what are the challenges we face? And how can we, sort of eliminate these challenges? How can we work together? This cannot happen alone. A company cannot change on its own. It has to be top-down and bottom-up approach. In order to do that, awareness needs to develop, and also practical applications. So I think, I would like to really say that, we've come a long way. It's not that, if you look at the 70s, when, the movement started, the feminist movement in Berkeley, when you look at the 70s and you look now, what are the changes that happened? Yes, women are more educated. We have a much more larger proportion of women in the world that are educated, but yet there's a large proportion that still has not got access to education. But those are the state's responsibility. But we can help as companies, as organizations, to enhance this movement. And if you look at the changes that's happening, even in my country, in Bangladesh, we see that women, like rural women who were illiterate, didn't have jobs. They were working in family households. But then ultimately, there was the eruption of the ready-made garment sector in Bangladesh. And most of you know that, most of the garments you see, you buy from H&M or you buy from Zara or other brands. You can see the tag, made in Cambodia, made in Bangladesh, made in Sri Lanka, made in Pakistan. And those are the hardworking women who are illiterate but have learned a trade. And they have actually specialized themselves. But are they getting the wages that they deserve? They do not. They're still lagging behind, and governments are not really looking into this. So I think, we need to really look at this in a detailed way, that not only at every layer of the organization, be it, at the mid-level, be it at the bottom level, but what is the career growth for a woman in your organization, in your company? And what are the challenges they're facing these days? A lot has changed. It's improved. We're not saying that it hasn't improved, but we need to escalate that movement. And to do that, we're going to hear today from very interesting panelists. We have a number of panelists, but first let me also say that our moderator is also going to be here. I think, is the moderator here? Okay. So before I start that, I just want to say that we are going to highlight in this session the current representation. So the status quo at the moment, we're going to showcase success stories. And you heard this morning that success stories are very important to change the narrative. And then encourage collaboration. It cannot be done alone. We have to have partnership. The government, the private sector, the development sector, we all have to work together to change what's happening around the world, to make a movement where, all women have an equal right to societal needs. And we want to increase the awareness of the importance of gender equality, because we heard from the State Minister this morning that we cannot leave them behind. We have to acknowledge the contribution of women at every tier of society in order for economic growth. And understanding what are the barriers and challenges and what are the solutions. We know a lot of things, we are hearsay, we talk about a lot of challenges, but what are the solutions? And as corporates, you can give us some solutions. And UNGC also has its own initiative, Target Gender Equality, that we've been giving. We have a lot of tools, we have a lot of programs, accelerator programs, where companies can benefit if you are a UN Global Compact member. So, and the other thing is disseminating information. A lot of the companies are doing a lot of good things. on gender equality, but they're working in a silo. They do not want to share. And we heard from our panelists this morning that we need to disseminate these best practices so others can learn and pick up. So strengthening partnership between all these agencies are very important to facilitate and accelerate the growth of women empowerment in society. So I just want to introduce Mr. Tomas Hruska, Managing Director of Singapore and Malaysia in L'Oreal. If you could please come up. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. So maybe you could sit in the corner so you can moderate better. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then I would like to also introduce another panelist, Ms. Yuko Tsutsui, Chairperson of ESG Strategy Committee, NYK Line, Japan. Please come front. Ms. Shiromal, Cooray, Chairman and Managing Director, Jetwing Travels Private Limited from Sri Lanka. Please join us. Ms. Atiya Awachanakarn, Chief Sustainability Officer, Principal Capital Public Company Limited, Thailand. And Dr. Irwana Abul Malik, Head of Supply Chain, Pelabuhan, Tanjung Pelapas, Malaysia, who is the moderator. Yeah. Sorry. So we have all the panelists in front of us, and we will hear from them. But first, we want to hear the keynote speech. Over to our keynote speaker for her deliverables. And we want to really have an interactive session. We want to give time for question and answer for the session after the panelists speak. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's all right. You could sit here and then you could.
Great. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opening remarks, and it's a great pleasure to be here.
Sorry. Oh, Ms. Shamaruk from the Urmi Group, garments company in Bangladesh. I think of her as a friend, so I forgot she's a speaker today. Thank you.
Great. So yeah, good afternoon again, and my great pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me and having L'Oreal sharing of what we do on the topic of gender equality. And I'll try to address some of your comments. I think it was a very nice bridge to what I want to share. And before I go in my presentation, I would like to say that L'Oreal is a signatory of UN Global Compact since 2003. And we are also signatory of Women Empowering Principles in 2014. So a long presence, a long commitment on the topic. And over the next 10 minutes, I will try to share with you what do we do on the group level, what are our commitments to the equity, inclusion, diversity, and in particular to the gender equality in the company, and also how do we translate it here in Malaysia that could give some of the inspiration that you were mentioning. Let me open with a short film so that you all get familiar with what we do. I think many of you know the company names, but probably it would be interesting for you to understand what is in this company name, what activities are behind. So this is in a nutshell what L'Oréal does, and you saw some of the topics that we are going to address today also through this opening video. So yeah, it was mentioned that we have been champion in the diversity, equity, and inclusion since many years. We have this sense of purpose that is called "Create the Beauty that Moves the World," and I will elaborate on this and what does it mean for this gender equality in a second. So you saw some of the highlights about the company. What is very important is also what we call a non-financial performance. Of course, we are a large beauty company, large multinational company, but we are very keen on our non-financial performance. Some of the recognitions that you saw behind me, it's on the sustainability. Let me quote the Carbon Disclosure Project, the red stamp behind me. For 8 years in a row, we are recognized as one of the most sustainable company in the world with the impact on the forest, on the water, and on the biodiversity. You see that also on ethics, it has been 14 years that we are considered as one of the most ethical company in the world. And there are also recognitions that are particularly related to gender equality or to diversity by Bloomberg or by Equileap, that we are in the top 10 worldwide when it comes to these topics. So this is to give you a little bit of perspective how our activities are recognized worldwide. Now, beauty is what we have been doing for the last 115 years. Beauty is very diverse. By definition, beauty is a human need. Beauty is a need to express yourselves, your personality. It's a social need, so it's very individual and it's very diverse by definition. So it is in the core of what we do and in core of our sense of purpose, what we believe that we need to be the most inclusive beauty leader and contribute to the society in which everyone can live safely, peacefully, and equally. So this is what we state in our sense of purpose. This is our mission when it comes to the diversity, equity, and inclusion. And how do we translate it on the daily life? So there are 3 dimensions to it. One is, of course, to our consumers. Second is to our employees. And the third is to the communities. So to the consumers, it seems very obvious. We have been creating beauty products since 115 years. And today, what we do is a mission of beauty for each, powered by tech. What do we mean by beauty for each? We try to personalize the beauty experience for everybody around the world. We acknowledge that there are millions and billions types of diverse beauty around the planet, and we try to cater to this diversity of the beauty needs through the formulation, through the products, through the advertising, also representation of all the ethnicities and cultures in our advertising. So that's one topic that I will not address today. What I will zoom in is what do we do for our people internally, for our employees, and this is where the role of gender equality and women comes in, and also how do we translate it externally to our communities. So first to our employees. So a couple of figures to start. So those are the figures at the end of last year on the worldwide level. So yeah, more than 2/3, 68% of our global workforce are women. You will say, of course, because we are a cosmetic company and probably natural. But what is important that you see it on the pictures, and these are the worldwide figures that you mentioned, the leadership position, which is the 57% of key positions in the company. So senior leaderships are held by women across the world. And even the executive committee today is 32%, and the evolution was over the last 15 years from 7 to 20 to 32, and very soon it's going to be half. We also believe that in very soon we are going to have a group CEO who is going to be a woman for the first time, so we're looking forward to it as well. So there's a clear movement that we have initiated many years ago. Then how do we translate it in Malaysia? It might be very interesting for you. So in Malaysia, our workforce are 72% women. So making the link also to Malaysia Madani mission, where there is a 60% commitment, right? That the workforce, the human capital in the company should be 60% women. So we are ahead of that. But you see also that through all the promotions and the development and training, we have 62% of senior leaders, women in the company. And my management committee, the leadership team of Malaysia, Singapore, we are exactly 50-50. So yeah, I apologize for being a man presenting today, but we are a very balanced company and really offering not only at entering stage, but really creating conditions for women to develop through the training, but also creating conditions to grow and to take the leadership position in the company. It's not only about the percentage, but also what we do. I think you can read behind me some of the work that we have started back in 2007, which is linked also to the equal pay And it was also mentioned in the opening remarks, the equal pay. Today, we have 33 countries that are already audited, that we are being certified, that we have no bias in the pay, that we have absolutely equal pay between men and women. So that's one topic. You might say it seems very basic, but not all the companies are in this situation. But it's also beyond what conditions do we create for women to develop and to grow their career in the company. We launched a program that is called Share and Care back in 2013, so more than 10 years ago. And this program has several components, and one of them is balance. And this balance pillar is really focused on the well-being and on the balance, finally, as it is suggesting by the name, between the personal life and the professional life. This balance pillar, how do we put it in place in Malaysia? So next year, we are going to be audited as well in Malaysia by EDGE, and we will have a certification also that we have absolutely equal pay between men and women in our company. So they are very confident it's already reality today. And we have many things that we do also on creating the conditions for women. So some examples of how do we translate this Share and Care program in Malaysia. So we have 4-month flexible maternity leave that is also ahead of the country legislation, and we keep it very flexible. By the way, on top of it, we have also recently launched 6 weeks paternity leave, because we also believe that it's a role of a father to take care of the family and to help the mother who wants then to reintegrate the professional lives. So combined for the parents, it's 4 months for a mother and 6 weeks for the father. So we are also proud of that. On top of that, we are also providing 3 flexible days, let it be for the first day of the school or for the caregivers, very often taken by women. Of course, the situation that you described on your opening remarks, balancing with the home and the work. We also have a child care leave, which is obviously a lot taken by many women in the company, and the life makes it. There are situations that we need to stay with our kids, so it's another on top that we have. And we are also actively helping in the maternity and the fertility support when there is a need, so really helping also women on that front. So this is also about illustrating, this is pretty much the how do we get to the percentages that you see before. It's creating condition for the women to grow in the company, give them enough flexibility to handle with the personal and professional life, and also creating for them a space to grow and to space to manage their careers. So that was internally for our employees. Externally, how do we take it to the community? So we have, this is a worldwide fund for women. So 50 million euro dedicated to women in vulnerable situations. So we are also tapping into this fund, and we have contributed to Malaysia. We have used money from of this fund and brought it last year actively to Malaysia. We also have 2 amazing programs that are within our L'Oréal Foundation. These programs are called For Women in Science and Beauty for a Better Life. So For Men in Science is a program that we have been running in Malaysia for the last 18 years. And the objective of this program is to promote the gender equality and presence of women in science. So because we are a company that was based on science, based on research, based on innovation, company for women, so it makes a lot of sense to support this cause. You see the numbers behind me. Over the last 18 years, we have dedicated more than 1.5 million ringgits to support young scientists on their professional careers. Within the worldwide program, we have many Nobel Prize winners in this program, so we are very proud of that, and it's our long-term commitment how to support women also externally out of the company walls. Second program is called Beauty for a Better Life, and I'm very proud of this one because this is what we do in Malaysia, and really start from zero, from an idea, and we take women from the B40, from the very difficult life situation, and through the beauty, this is what the name suggests, Beauty for a Better Life. So we teach them how to be hairdressers, and we do it with our professional product division. We teach them how to become hairdresser, how to open the salon, and you see the employment rate, 90%, it's very impressive, and we do it every year, and extending this program not only for the professional hair industry, but also to the digital, to the influencer, to become an influencer, to master the digital skills. So really helping the women to access through beauty skills into the employment in the society. And last but not least, that's a very recent example of what we put in place. And we have signed last year a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Education in Malaysia that we are going to support the vocational trainings that are existing. And we employ a lot of lot of beauty advisors in our stores, and there is a need also to help the vocational training to be more professional, more adapted to today's world. So we are playing active this role, and this program is already in place, and we are very proud of that as well, and helping, and it's only the beginning. We are committed to go even more with the Ministry of Education in Malaysia. So this is our team, yes, and Malaysia, we are what we call beauty creators, and we are more than 600 people here in charge of Malaysian market, and 1,000 people Malaysia, Singapore. So a lot of people also in the stores, in the field, and our sense of purpose is to create a beauty that moves 34 million Malaysians. So thank you very much for your attention, and I will be also very happy to learn from all your experiences from our companies through the panel discussion. Thank you very much.
Breaking barriers, achieving gender equality through women's representation in senior management. Gender equality in the workplace is not only the social issue or even not a moral issue, but a critical factor in our company's performance and innovation. Just now we heard from the L'Oreal how actually they are upskill and also promoting the gender equality. So today we have the esteemed speakers who will share their insight on promoting gender diversity and equality in leadership position. Let me ask Ms. Yuko, considering the unique cultural landscape of Japan, how can a company effectively implement gender equality initiative, and what are some of the common challenges it might encounter, particularly in promoting women to leadership position?
Thank you, Rivana. Selamat siang. Nama saya Yuko Tsutsui. Saya datang dari Tokyo, Japan. Saya gembira berjumpa. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm the executive officer of NYK Group. Some of you know, but I would like to introduce our company a little bit. NYK Line is a global logistic company, and which core business is international shipping. And the company itself established 1886. So next year, the anniversary is 140. So it's a very traditional one, anyway. And I'd like to start by talking about the Japanese women situation. A survey on gender gap, gender equality in countries conducted by the World Economic Forum, Japanese rank is 118th out of 146 countries. Japan significantly lags behind the rest of the world. Quite unfortunately, the gender gap index in Japan has not improved yet. The first reason for this is the strong sense of gender-based role, with men doing the work out of home and women doing the homework and housework and childcare. This very strong consciousness is reproduced throughout society and is not easily changed. Companies tend to employ more men than women due to the assumption that women will quit early to join the family. Also, there is a strong tendency that men who can work obediently are more likely to be valued as a result of labor practices. I mean, it's a long working hours tends to be highly valued as a sign of diligence and loyalty. This strong gender acts as a deep-seated unconscious bias for both men and women. So women's success in Japanese companies is undermined. However, companies doing business like us globally have recognized that diversity and inclusion is necessary to compete innovatively by global standards, and behavior change has begun. In addition, after the Corona disaster, the various ways of working, such as remote work, made possible women to balance family and work. The first thing the companies should do is to increase the number of women in the workplace by recruitment process free from gender bias. It is also important to achieve critical mass as soon as possible by accelerating the promotion of women to management positions. Accelerating promotion means that women can realize their potential and the rewards of their efforts before life events. It is because the gender discrimination from a younger age causes women giving up their career because they feel that they are not expected to be a member of the company and underestimate their own worth. It is an imposter syndrome, as you know. The more equal opportunities should be taken, such as opportunities for training and professional development. And it is important to ensure women have access to high visibility project and leadership. And our company is start to do it now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Yuko. We heard from the Japanese culture that women representation in senior management is still low. So we're moving to the context of family-owned businesses. I would like to get the insight from Ms. Shiromal. Balancing tradition with modernity can present unique challenges for gender equality. So with your experience, could you share the specific strategies and policies that have been effective in addressing traditional gender roles and biases?
Ayubowan everyone. I'm from Sri Lanka. It's a beautiful country just below the Indian subcontinent. So any of you who have not been there, please, I welcome you to come there and experience our Sri Lankan hospitality. So I come from a family business as well. Unfortunately, family businesses are traditionally male-dominated areas where sons assume that they are going to inherit and run a family business. So ownership is, I think we should first talk of ownership before management, because ownership traditionally went to the sons. And over time, I think, and sons assumed that they were going to own it. Over time, some of the girls, the daughters, ended up getting fewer shares, usually a minority, but no management. If the parents were a little enlightened, they would give them non-executive boards in the directorship in the board. But if there was a daughter who wanted to work in the company, they would end up being accountants or in HR or in the recent times in CSR. So ESG, most companies have their daughters working in environment, social abilities, and in governance, not in any senior management position. So I think UNGC has kind of encouraged families to put their daughters into those areas of company responsibility. So, but however, if you do not have a son, then the daughter is lucky enough to be given that position. And over time, most daughters have shown that they are capable, in fact, better at running a business. This does not only mean to business. Very often, when a husband or a father is dead, they end up being propelled into this limelight. In Sri Lanka, we had the first woman prime minister. She got that role only because her husband died. If not, she would have been a very traditional housewife. There's nothing wrong in being a housewife, but women can and are capable of doing much more. So, so I think it's a huge subject and subject I'm very passionate about. But coming to your specific question about what family businesses can do, I think one of the main areas is as I said, ownership. So we should have policies where children are given equal ownership in a company first, and then they should also have in succession planning where girls and boys are given equal opportunity to education, for training, for mentoring, for sponsorship, for all of that. Girls should also be given equal opportunity. So companies should have policies that are gender non-discriminative. Plus, I think another thing would be, I mean, very often we who are, most of us, I think, are in family businesses, even at home, over the dinner table, it's a son who is brought in to talk about family business. The daughter is not. Maybe they'll talk about L'Oreal products rather than how you can be running a business. So daughters should also be brought into these conversations from a young age. They should also be involved in business activities. So that way, as parents, we can also involve our girl children into family businesses. So another thing that a company can do, a family business can do, is maybe have external directors. So when you have outside directors in your board, maybe they can enlighten somebody or the patriarch to say that we can easily get involved, the daughters can also be involved. So if a daughter is given an equal opportunity for education, for coaching, mentoring, I think that, and then if seniority is based on capability or maybe age, maybe you can have a system saying the eldest, irrespective of daughter or son, is going to run the business. So these are things that can, I think, be done to foster. And another thing, from experience, I can say is that employees should also be educated to say that a daughter can also run the business. Because if not, they think, oh, you're the daughter. So it's a son who could do this. So I think that kind of education, enlightenment should be given to all employees in the company as well. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shiromal. Oh, it's a interesting view from you, yeah, because we need to have the third party basically to be in the executive director, as you mentioned, to be balanced in the gender equality barriers. So we heard the strategies and policies from the perspective of family-owned business. Now, building off that, I would like to ask Ms. Shamaru, as a director of a family-owned business as well, right? How do you promote gender diversity and equality in management position? Are there particular strategies that align with what Ms. Shiromal mentioned just now, or do you have any different approach to share?
Thank you very much. Just to put in context, I'm representing the ready-made garments industry in Bangladesh, which is primarily, as Ms. Zaman has already told you, that it is the driving force is women, fortunately, in the country. For actually, the most of the employees are women in the industry. There is something. Yes, it is good. It is good. Definitely, if I put into context of my organization, we are an organization where we are contributing to the economy. 84% of the country's export is from ready-made garments industry, and almost 10% of the GDP is coming from ready-made garments, with a huge worker base, employee base, because it's more manually done. I mean, the workforce is huge. Right now, if I put in our company into context, it's almost 13,000 people working in the organization, of which 65% is women. Unfortunately, when we talk about the management staff numbers, this 63 becomes in a single digit. That is where the work is for the industry. It is, as she had told already, that yes, we are for driving the economic force, the women who did not have the chance to get an education, proper education, but learned a specific trade and is contributing to the economy. However, right now the issue is actually to bring them to the leadership positions, to the senior management positions. That's not only the front soldiers, but also in the management meetings or board meetings. If I come back to the management staff numbers, as I said, we had few years back, I think it was 2020, 21, 2019, just before COVID hit us. It was very, very nominal. Then we took up a full plan for a 10 years plan to increase our female management staffs and to inject in different levels, like not only freshers, not only senior positions, but also in the mid-level. And we have paired up with UNGC and IFC also for driving this. And me being in the board as a female member has added some value, I believe, because earlier days, always the agenda was put in for the next board meeting, okay, we'll talk about it now, we don't have time. So that thing has changed, definitely. It is a family business, own business, but I joined the family business after 20 years of my career in Unilever and Lafarge and some other organizations. So when I brought in the thoughts and the experiences that I had in those different multinational organizations, that really helped. I'm sure that made it easier for the board also, for the people also to believe that it is possible. Because what we have identified that getting the policies right is definitely important. Like, for example, we have forced that every function, every department has to have female representation. Be it MT, or be it mid-level or senior level, whoever is capable, of course. We will not take somebody who is not capable, but once somebody is capable, has the qualification, she has to get the chance to get into the interview. We will not just not remove the CV because she's a woman. That has been established over the last few years, because unfortunately we had experience that the merchandising team members said, oh, they can't work so late, so I don't want a female in my team. Those kind of things from the functional heads were coming, which has changed. I would say that is one of the successful success that we can actually claim, that yes, all the functional heads now know that they are actually getting good results, not even better, from the female team members. And at the same time, we are trying very focusedly to upskill the female members, because unless they're happy, they're getting their jobs done, they will not be taking the second one. So that I keep telling all the female colleagues of mine, that you have to prove yourself to be there. At the same time, of course, we are creating the environment, we are creating some flexible, the policies are in place, like, for example, pick up and drop and other stuffs, that especially for the women, in the context of our social scenario, we have to give them some sorts of, because our factories are outside the main city, so they have to travel back. So all these are in places, the policies are in places. We have to put in certain extra care for the female, because it's not L'Oreal like 50-50 or 60% is top management is female. So our context is very different, but we are trying to put it in. And very importantly, I would say the realization of the senior team members, the functional heads have been there, and the male ally, as I tell it, we are trying to put that male ally in place, and I think that is helping. Because still we are in the single digit, but we have improved in last 4 years. And we have set up a target of going to double digit within next, by 2026. And that is from the management perspective. Even for the workers, where we have almost 60% of 13,000 people are female, unfortunate thing is very, very few supervisors come up from there. They prefer to be the workers. Why? Because of the social scenario, that I have to balance my life, I don't want to stay back, I don't want to take extra loads. So all these things, but now we, with the help of some of our buyers, we have like M&S and Prima, we have actually developed some training sessions, some training modules, from where we are developing on a regular basis, we are developing supervisors, female supervisors. This is also something that we really want to bring in female to the next level, even in the shop floor. And secondly, we have identified few women workers who have the capability of going for higher studies. Like Asian University of Women in Bangladesh, we have a campus where they actually promote, they have a combined, what do you call that? They have a combined course which is focused towards garments. And there we are sending our workers with their 4 years full salary paid to take care of the family, That is our contribution, and we are expecting them to come back and work as managers, or not only working in the quality as a quality executive that she was, but now with her extended study, higher studies, doing her graduation, we're expecting them to come back to us or to in the industry, doesn't matter, but we are expecting them to contribute more. That is how we are trying to change. The policies have been changed, and I'm sorry I'm taking too much time probably. Sorry.
I mean, the university fee will be borne by your company?
Yes, and that's the joint venture.
Joint venture.
They are taking care of the university cost, and we are taking care of their, because they have their opportunity cost of their job.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have to run the family.
Thank you. We heard from the Japanese culture point of view and also from the family business own point of view. Now, we would like to invite Ms. Atiya from the healthcare industry, where we know the healthcare industry, basically the stakes are high and the impact on society is significant. Leadership plays is a crucial role in driving change and innovation. So, Ms. Atiya, with your experience in the healthcare center, what are some effective strategies you have seen or implemented to promote women's leadership and ensure equal opportunity?
Okay, to give you a bit background on my company, I'm from Principal Capital. We operate a hospital in Thailand. Our purpose is to increase the accessibility of healthcare in non-major cities. So our core business is to support SDG Goal 3, obviously. And in healthcare, in Thailand, as in many countries, it's an industry where we rely heavily on women. They form the backbone of the industry. So it means that we have a very large pool of women that we can cultivate the talent from. So from the total number of employees in our company, 80% are already female. And for the head of department or middle management, we still see a proportion of 80% female. But up on the career ladder, that percentage reduces. So we have a leaky pipeline, as you mentioned. So that's where we as a company have to intervene. So we create the leadership boot camp. In that boot camp, we offer them both hard skills and soft skills. Why is that? There's a common bias and a perception that women tend to use emotion in decision making rather than facts and figures. So in that cause, we provide them, we equip them with data analytics skills, and we develop business intelligence tools for them to use in decision making. And of course, we equip them with soft skill as well. So when they grew up in the career ladder, there'll be less dramatic situation after that. So in that way, we changing the stereotype bit by bit. And not just the leadership bootcamp, but we also have an intensive program to build a senior management. And we will select by a gender neutral process. So for the last two batch, we select 10 to 15% from 3,000 employees, and we have a well balance of male and female in that course. And through that course, we are endorsed by top executives, and they will get a job rotation after that. And from what we experienced through the past 2 years, we see an increasing proportion of female that gets into an upper senior management level. So this is one of the things that we implemented, and I might touch a bit more later. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Atiya. So we heard from all our panelists regarding how to break the barriers. So we are now moving to discuss how actually the male can support in the journey for the equality. So I would like to ask Ms. Yuko, based on your leadership, for the gender equality, what specific actions do you believe male leaders can take to support and promote women's representation in the workplace? How can they use their influence to effect positive change?
Thank you. allyship from men is very important, especially in Japan, because the majority of regular workplaces in Japan companies are dominated by men. Naturally, most managers are also men, and the number of women is very limited. So higher up the position, the women have to confront the discomfort of being in the minority, of being the only one. In such cases, support, especially from the top, is very important. If the top clearly sets out to promote women's success and diversity and inclusion, the culture of the company can easily change, because men obey the bosses unconditionally, as we all know. Male leaders can take several specific actions to support and promote women's representation. For example, to encourage other men in the organization to become allies also, and support gender equality to foster an inclusive culture where women feel safe and valued. And of course, to encourage the result-oriented work environment rather than long working hours. Some may call it reverse discrimination, but we should consider that the concept of equity in diversity and inclusion. Women use our resources for so many caring activities such as childcare, caring, and running at home, while men network over cigarettes, golf, etc. In order to manage the home well, women work wisely to produce maximum output with minimum input. By making these efforts, women improve our abilities. Talking about the daily allyship of home, not only with their supervisors, but also with their colleagues at work, with the support of their fathers during their childhood at home, and with their husband or partner, is significant. In fact, many women are successful in their own companies due to good cooperation with their partners.
Okay, thank you, Miss Yuko. So we heard how actually Japanese culture, it's very difficult basically women to climb the ladder, because I also working in Japanese company previously, so I know how difficult. So we want to hear actually from Miss Atiya from the healthcare industry. Can you share your insight on the impact of male allyship in promoting women's leadership? There any specific examples from your experience that highlight the benefit of such support?
Okay, we have many exemplary male allies in our organization, but the champion one is our co-founder and former chairman. So like Yuko mentioned, that tone from the top is important. So he started by shifting the organization structure. So as you may know that hospital normally runs by a hospital director, which usually is a doctor and primarily is male. And there's a saying that sometimes you lose a great doctor and get a bad management in return. So no offense if any of you are doctors. So our co-founder, he's not a doctor but a son of one. So he noticed these problems and he said that why do we have to force the doctors to know everything, to be best at everything? So he said that why don't we give them a wingman or wingwoman? So he created another position in the senior level of the hospital. We called it a general management director, and it could be any professions and any gender that will oversee any other operations of the hospital that's non-clinical. So in one shot, he solved two problems. The doctors can focus what he's good at, quality of care service to provide to the patients, when he can also broaden the variety of senior management to include more professions and more gender variety into the senior management level. And our co-founder is also spare his personal time to give a one-on-one coaching and sharing session with all the top executive, regardless of gender. So in that session, he will give a thought-provoking question so that we can reflect on ourselves and that we can gain insight into entrepreneurial thinking. It's a very rare opportunity that can engrave a sense of belongings into those top executives, especially with females. And it will portray what our organization values. We value those with good head and great heart, irrespective of gender or background. And when the inclusion is exemplified by our co-founder, it's very easy for other male leaders in the organization to follow. So it's a common thing in our organization right now that plays a crucial role.
Thank you, Ms. Atiya. We heard from Yuko-san on the support required from the male leader, and Ms. Atiya, you just give an example. So building on this valuable perspective, so let's now turn to Ms. Shiromal. Mentorship and sponsorship programs are often highlighted as key to advancing women's careers. From your perspective, what significance do these programs hold for women's representations in senior management, and what strategies can be implemented to maximize their effectiveness?
Yeah, so I think it's very significant to have a mentor or and sponsor for a woman, because as I think Yuko-san said that women don't have the advantage of those networking facilities, because most of us may have been, I've been into an all-girls school. So the boys who have been in an all-boys school, they have very strong bonds, sports and other activities, and even after they leave school, they end up in school activities, or they have gyms and they get into clubs, or golf, as you say. So they have a lot of networking opportunities. While the girls whom I have studied with mainly, there's nothing wrong in it, but they have raised very successful families. So when you climb the corporate ladder, you don't find your female counterparts or friends in the corporate sector. So there's nobody to tell you over a round of golf, there's this great opportunity there, you can apply for it, or I have this superb facility in the, there are lots of things that males get from their friends and their other counterparts, which women don't. So therefore, mentoring and sponsorship is very important. Mentors will help you to upskill, to develop the skills that you need for a position. Whereas the sponsor will help you to show visibility of you, to encourage you to apply for certain positions in the company, to inform the company the contribution you make. And because as you may know, most girls are not pushy enough. They don't go forward and put their hand up and say, I can do it. I think by tradition, most of us in Asia have been told to take a back seat. We always talk about our fathers, our brothers, our husbands, our children, but we don't talk much about ourselves. So we will downplay our role. So we need, therefore, a sponsor who can talk about our achievements and tell people, so once she's there, you give her a hearing, look after her. If not, most of the time, capable women or capable girls don't get shown up. So therefore, mentoring and sponsorship is very important. And I also think that it should be a very formalized thing. It should be structured. You can't just have somebody saying, it cannot be a very loose relationship. It should be structured, formalized. There should be regular feedback. Those things should be taken into account. And so it's very important to answer your question. I think we are short of time, so I'd rather.
Short of time, but Ms. Shamarud have some view on this.
May I add one point that has actually worked very well with us? On top of this mentoring part, we also have this similar structure. But on top of that, what we have very successfully worked out is having a female club, like where they can, the Urmi girls, we call it Urmi girls, where they can actually talk about their problems, their confidence level actually goes up when they're sharing with each other, because there are factory people, there are merchandising girls, so they are all having a common ground where they can open up and talk about it and have solutions within the organization. That is one thing that we are doing. The other thing is getting successful women role models and coming into our organization, talking to them on a regular basis. Every few months, we get somebody from other industry who is very successful woman, whom they have lots of questions, how you have reached there. So that gives them, also helps them to have the confidence building up part.
I think Mishma, you already answered the next question basically on the program also support. So because we're running out of time, so I will go to the collaboration, because we believe the collaboration across different sectors and organization is important actually to create a synergy that not only promotes gender equality, but also leverage diverse perspective for better decision making and innovation. So let me ask Ms. Yuko, how do you envision creating a collaborative environment between the private and public sectors to advance and support gender equality? Could you share your strategies for overcoming any challenges that may arise in this cross-sectoral effort?
Yeah, thank you. Positions have responsibilities. Sometimes we try to work on legislation and taxation also. As Women's Advancement Initiative cannot be completed by a single company, and the social conventions need to be changed. For example, I'm a member of a Committee of Diversity and Inclusion of Keidanren. It's a Japanese business federations. The Keidanren is a large association of almost 1,700 listed Japanese companies, and has a great influence on the Japanese government. For example, of the social system issues that needs to be reviewed to promote women's participation is the same surname system. It's based on civil code, which requires a married couple to choose one surname upon marriage. In reality, 95% of marriages, it is a wife who changes her surname. This results in a disproportionate burden on women, as you know. They face the loss of identity and the inability to verify their personal existence, leading to inconveniences and disadvantages in both daily and professional life. So Keidanren urges the government to amend the civil code to allow both husband and wives to continue using their birth surname, their official surnames on the family register if they desire. Such case is a good example, I think.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Shiromal, just now you discussed about the support, about the mentoring. Do you have anything that you want to add on this? And actually, could you perhaps share an example from your experience that illustrates successful cross-sector collaboration? Because just now you mentioned mentoring, sponsorship, but do you have any experience that basically illustrates successful cross-sector?
Yes, so we have a Sri Lanka Institute of Directors, and so they have a women's chapter, and so they have women corporate women directors program where they get potential women directors in senior positions, and then they educate them. They give them the soft skills and all the other hard skills that are necessary for career advancement. They also have a mentoring program where they get people from other senior positions, chairmen and CEOs, and then they take board-ready women from other companies, and then they match them, and they have mentoring programs. So that is working very well. Because so much so I've been mentoring a lady from a big corporate who has on their annual report saying how woman-friendly they are and all the fabulous policies. But when I was mentoring this lady, I found that she had the potential, and she was told at the previous evaluation that she should apply for a particular senior position. But when she went up to the supervisor and told him, I want to apply for this, and he told her, no, you shouldn't do it because it's very, there's too much pressure, and because of your children, you won't be able to handle it. So he dissuaded her from applying for this position, you know, and that was, so she couldn't handle it so much. So therefore, a mentor became very important to give her the confidence and the empowerment to say, you go apply for it, and she actually got the position.
Okay, thank you. I think times is not permit for us to continue. So before we end this session, I would like to open any question from the audience. Live question. Do you have any question to our speakers before I proceed with the call to action from each speakers? No questions? Okay, there is one question. Introduce your name, miss.
Okay. All right. I'll do it without the mic. Sorry. Oh, I have to press this. Oh, okay. High tech. Hello, I'm Shanta from the Malaysia network. So it's great to hear all of the efforts that your companies are making. I was just wondering if there's any target setting related to hiring females, especially in senior management, and also wondering, like, how do you really meet those targets then as well? Because it's been shown that a lot of more women are actually taking STEM education, for example, but yet, despite them finishing universities and so forth, we don't see that number being represented into senior management specifically.
Thank you. And anyone?
Thank you for your question. It's very much relevant for our case, probably most relevant. Yeah, we have taken specific plans to recruit senior management and mid-senior management lateral entry to identify talents inside the country or as well as outside maybe. But we want to we have identified several important roles where we want to have female. We are recruiting. We have already got one operations head who's running a factory, one unit of production, and under her also there are a few others mid-level like quality managers, lab in charge, people who are actually women of STEM, women in STEM, they are. So we have identified them, and their career path has been planned and discussed and talked and agreed with their senior supervisors. So there is no hindrance, and this is very closely monitored by the board. Because there is no hindrance, as she said, that sometimes supervisors actually discourage. So we want to get rid of that problem, and this is very closely monitored. Within every 3 months, we are actually reviewing their performance and seeing that whether they're getting ready for the next level. That is one thing for the senior and mid-level. But for very importantly, the 3-4 years experienced ones. That is where we actually inject new bloods, new ideas, new thoughts, and women, or even the freshers also. So this is where we were really putting our pipeline ready. We are getting our pipeline ready for next 5 years or 10 years. So, and we are actually recruiting MTOs. We are actually trying to give them a fast-track career if they're performing, and trying to develop them with extra care, extra special trainings, mentorship, and focuses on their ability to take it to the next level. So that is where we have identified, as I said, we want to take it to the 10% number by next 2 years' time. That is something we have in our plan, because it's really, really low in context of whoever is sitting in this room. Probably Bangladesh numbers are pretty low, which we are targeting small numbers, but we want to achieve those numbers successfully, establish the female, and then go into the next numbers, tracking the numbers. It's not only the quantity, but also the quality of the female leaders is very important. So that is where we do not want to compromise as well. Thank you.
Thank Ms. Shamaru. I think we need to have company need to have the target, and we also need to have the development program, or else women will not success in their position. And I open another question from the audience. Okay. You just press the button. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Nafi from Bangladesh Network. I actually had a question for Mr. Thomas, if that's all right.
Mrs. Thomas.
Yeah. So you mentioned how L'Oreal is such a big company and it employs a large number of women, and you also have flexible maternity leaves. So I wanted to know what companies like L'Oreal, how do they look at maternity leaves? Is it like a CSR or sustainability policy? Are there any long-term gains behind that? Because maternity leaves are expensive, right? So I wanted to know how companies like L'Oreal look at these things.
Thank you for the question. So, can you hear me? Yeah. So, we look at it. So it was 2013 where we started to formulate our program. It is called Share and Care. What was said at the time that many countries around the world didn't provide a sufficient legal framework for the women to have long enough maternity leave. So there were countries that it was really low. So what we took as a big company, the stance we took was that we provide for all of our employees across the globe the same policy. So the 4 months that you see, I mean, we have it really, we roll it out across the planet regardless the state, etc. So at least all the employees of the company have the same approach around the globe to it, right? So that's one. Second, we believe that it's on this balance, right, between your family and between your work. So it's important. The paternity leave I was mentioning was put in place exactly for that. Also, is to help women. I mean, it was mentioned by many panelists to help women, so that also a man is playing a role at home, right? So that this paternity and maternity leave can be combined. How you take care of your family. So those two combined gives the family almost half a year of opportunity to take care of the kids. So we believe it's important. We believe it's first for the employees as as a tool to be able to grow and to develop. But second, also as a role of that we play, the large corporation in the society today, that we need to also set examples and sometimes go ahead of what is the country regulation, and to be ahead of the game and show what needs to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. As we close this session, let's take a moment to consider call to action from all the speakers. Maybe we can start from Ms. Shiromal on the call to action.
Yeah, I think we spoke a lot and we heard a lot also in the morning. As another speaker said in the morning, it should be, it would take about 169 years, I heard somebody say. So I think we should all get together and put some money and get into a social awareness program where we tell, using all the digital, all the media, to say that it is not wrong for a little girl to dream big, that a little girl can have a successful family and also lead a corporation, maybe her own or maybe in another industry. And that there's nothing wrong in that, that you don't have to feel guilty. As a mother, I know the guilt that I went through, so that the girl should be told there is no need to feel guilty. You have an equal right to do it, and you should be able to compromise. So you should give them some role models and get people to talk about it, and let also the males in the society to realize that they should allow fathers, husbands, brothers, they should allow their female, whether it be a mother, daughter, whoever, to also go out and believe and live their dream, that they should not be courteous. So it should be a huge social awareness campaign. Otherwise, no point on us, all of us talking here. It's not going to work. It has to be built from the grassroots. We should be allowed, just as much as we are telling drugs are bad or smoking is bad. Similarly, we should have a huge awareness campaign from the grassroots, from the schools, to temples, covils, churches, where they're all told a girl has an equal right to everything that a male is required to do.
Ms. Atiya?
Okay, so I would say that go check your baseline first thing. So you know where you stand in this race to gender equality, and don't trust your gut feeling or opinions of leaders or boards, but trust facts and figures. And you might be surprised to see that, oh, there is this kind of gap, gender gap in our organization. And so you can put the right action or intervention into it. And if your top is not in with you yet, you could use this information to convince them. Or if they're already in with you, then this will back him up when he try to change the policies or convince the board or other members. So I could say that tone from the top is the key success factor to really move this issue forward faster. Yeah.
Thank you. Miss Yuko?
Thank you. I'd like to keep marching to realize the gender equality with the fellow inside countries and companies. And I'd like to network with all attendees in this room to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. On top of all of them, what they have said, I'll add on one point that coordination with this group of people will be very important for us because we can learn from each other and actually don't reinvent the wheel and take the good practices from others and start implementing, adapting to whatever is possible in our respective countries. So having this network strong and active is very critical. Like we are doing lots of things across the network, but we really don't know. So hopefully UNGC will be having a critical role here to play, and like they are doing right now. I'll ask my network leader in my country. I am hoping that we will be getting more contacts with them in terms of regular connectivities and learning sessions. Thank you.
Thank you for all the, thank you to all speakers for your invaluable contribution and also insight. And thank you also to all of you for joining us. We make a difference together. So with that, we end our session. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice to meet you. But this is not the gender.
Yeah.
Thomas here. Mr. Thomas, can you join us? Or ask all his members?
It's okay. At the back because I'm too tall on the picture.
Oh, you are too tall.
Hello, everyone. We still have a closing remark. Please stand.
Thank you. Nice. This one, Mishamar, is yours? Mishamar is yours? Yeah. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Next, I would like to invite Mr. Ratika De Silva, Executive Director of UN Global Compact Network Sri Lanka, to deliver a closing remark.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, that was indeed a powerful discussion with 5 powerful women right here. But am I not glad that Thomas and I are still at the beginning and the end? Good afternoon, everyone, and it's an honor to be here today at this pivotal discussion on achieving gender equality through women's representation in senior management. A topic of immense importance not only for fostering inclusive workplaces, but also for driving sustainable business success. Despite the progress made over the years, women continue to remain underrepresented in senior management positions globally. Addressing this disparity is not just a matter of fairness, but from this discussion also we have learned it is a business imperative. Research consistently shows that diverse leadership teams lead to better decision-making, increased innovation, and improved financial performance. This is not to be ignored. In the Asia-Oceania region, we face a plethora of common socioeconomic challenges linked inextricably to gender. However, the good news is that there has been significant progress in the private sector's commitment to championing gender equality in the workplace. I'm keen to share that the progress that the UN Global Compact's Target Gender Equality Accelerator has made in advancing corporate gender goals. This is evident through the positive statistics recorded through the Women's Empowerment Principles. For instance, in the Asia and Oceania region, 47% of companies actively advocate for gender equality and women's empowerment in public forums. Notably, 86% of companies have paid maternity leave, and 71% provide paid maternity and paternity leave. 21% of companies provide on-site childcare facilities. These supportive policies not only benefit employees, but also play a crucial role in enabling more women to advance into senior management positions by alleviating work-life balance challenges. Additionally, 33% of companies have time-bound measurable goals and targets facilitate women in leadership roles. If I look closer to home, for I'm from Sri Lanka, I'm happy to report that 50% of Sri Lankan companies have policies on non-discrimination embedded within their corporate commitments, and 78% have established approaches to ensure gender diversity within professional development. We can draw inspiration from the initiatives undertaken by our esteemed panelists. I think we heard of some amazing examples from family business to very large corporations and those in between. And I would say we all have heard that they have made significant strides in promoting gender equality. Call to action, as we reflect on the insights shared today, we talked about how important it is to have mentors and sponsors and what it means to women and women's empowerment and leadership. The tone from the top, how valuable that is, and also the change that must come in to the traditional systems that Shiromal spoke of, and also the cultural challenges that women have to face today. So as we reflect on these insights shared today, I urge each one of us to take actionable steps towards achieving gender equality. Companies should implement mentorship programs, create flexible working arrangements, ensure equal opportunity for career advancement, and it's equally critical to challenge unconscious biases. I think we heard this from many of our speakers today, and foster an inclusive culture where everyone can thrive. Importantly, I encourage companies to actively explore and adopt new strategies to bring more women into senior management roles. What are the barriers preventing women from reaching these positions? I think we reflected quite a bit on that. And identifying and addressing these barriers is key. An organization should conduct internal assessments to understand these challenges and develop the targeted solutions to overcome them. In closing, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to our distinguished panelists for sharing their valuable perspective and experiences. Your insights have been truly enlightening, offering us a clear path towards achieving our shared goals. Each one of you has demonstrated through your work that gender equality in senior management is not just an aspirational goal, but an achievable reality. I also want to thank the Network Bangladesh and Juliana for making this panel happen. Juliana is not here with us, but we know how much she has put into this, and the Bangladesh Network, Shamin and the team, excellent effort. Your efforts have been instrumental in bringing us to this point. As we leave today, let us take with us the knowledge, inspiration gained from this session. Let us commit to implementing strategies discussed and continuously seek new innovative ways to promote gender equality within our organizations. By fostering environments that women can thrive, we are not only doing what is right, but we are also focusing on what is best for business, communities, and if I may add, even to our nations. Together, we can build a future where gender equality is the norm and not the exception. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ratika De Silva. Before we conclude, let's have a quick photo session with everyone in this room. Gather around, everyone. Everyone scoot to the center, please. Thank you.
Okay, ready? Okay, one look at me and 3, 2, 1, smile, smile, smile. Give me thumbs up, everyone. Yes, freestyle, yeah. Okay, look at the video. Okay, one more video. One more video. All right, 1, 2, 3 thumbs up. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Those who are not involved with the board meetings, you may go back to Khazana main hall for the next session. Thank you.
Yes.